After a few days of trekking through the mountains and the jungles of the Sacred Valley, I finally found myself at the foothills of this place that I had traveled so far for, cradled deep among the mountains of the Andes. The entire journey had been absolutely exhausting. I was tired, sore to the bone, and I had questioned almost every painful step that I took throughout the trek to get here. But now I was here. I was at the end of my journey, along with hundreds of other people who had come here for the very same thing. Reflecting back on it all, I can't help but ask, did I really find what I came here to find? I think I need to start at the very beginning. The journey began in the town of Soraypampa, about 128 kilometers from the city of Cusco. We met up with other groups of trekkers and teams of horsemen and their horses. Everyone was in good spirits, excited to immerse ourselves in the Salkantay Mountains and experience what it had to offer. Our goal for the day was to trek from an elevation of about 3,900 meters and ascend to 4,200 meters at the Humantay Lake, where we would supposedly find some breathtaking views. Snow-capped mountain peaks, cold, fresh mountain air, and an adventure with some interesting people from around the world, and more importantly, my favorite person. I don't think I could ask for more. In the previous episode, we walked through the process of what happens when we find beauty in something like these mountains, and we defined beauty as a subjective state of being that arises from within us when we are able to reflect and align the values that we hold to the qualities of the world that we perceive. This alignment is what creates harmony between us as individuals and the world that we live in, a sort of oneness with the universe. We concluded that when we experience something beautiful, we are simply in a flow state of awareness of the values that make up who we are, reflected onto us by the very qualities that we value. This clarity of definition is just a start. How do we use this understanding of beauty to manifest it through the world that we live in? And what are some of the characteristics of beauty that would allow us to control how beautiful life can be? This is what I hope to find some clarity on during this journey. Halfway up the mountain, I slowly started to realize that I might just be a tad bit unprepared for whatever it is that I signed up for. When I finally caught up with the rest of my group, I was greeted by a crystal clear turquoise lake at the foot of the magnificent and sacred Humantay Mountain. Everything seemed to glisten under the Peruvian sun. And as I sat there just soaking it all in, the gentle mountain breeze whispered in my ears, and I sensed all my worries about the journey that lay ahead of me over the next 5 days slowly wash away, leaving me in the joyful presence of Mother Nature. After leaving the Humantay Lake, we hiked for another 2 hours and arrived at the Kiswarniok campsite, where we were welcomed to some warm food, cocoa tea, and mountain cabins to finally lie down and rest. Transparently, I was miserable the entire day. The grade of elevation that we had to climb took a toll on my knees. My day pack, as light as it was, kept feeling heavier with each step, and the clothes that I had on were damp with my own sweat. Regardless, I was grateful for being able to make it through the day and for the amazing team of guides, porters, and staff who are the real champions, doing this trek almost every single day. Lying down for the night in this bare, cold cabin in the middle of the Andean mountains made me feel more alive than I had ever felt in a long, long time. The next morning, we would be ascending to an altitude of 4,700 meters to the Salkantay Pass and walking about 8.5 hours until our next campsite. I hadn't even fully recovered yet from the previous day, so I decided to take it easy and jump on a horse named Lola to carry me forward. As I rode my horse through the valley, I started to settle in and absorb the views around me and feel that familiar sense of beauty that I had become accustomed to here in Peru. Today, I want to continue the exploration of the idea of beauty. What exactly is the circumstance that is giving rise to this experience that I'm having? This morning, just a few hours ago, I was exhausted, cold, and miserable. And here I was now, starting to thoroughly enjoy what was around me. This beauty that I sense does not just instantaneously appear to me out of nothing, because these mountains do not hold any beauty to begin with. I cannot find beauty by looking at the ground and simply counting the steps that I take, or by thinking about how much further there is to go. Nor will I find it by thinking about my problems back at work. No, it first requires me to actively engage with this environment around me, to see the fog blanketing the mountains, to hear the whistle of the wind, to breathe and experience the crispness of the air, to listen to the hooves of these horses in front of me, to learn about the culture of the locals of this place, and to understand how we are all the same despite all our differences. Now this experience starts to become beautiful to me. I start to slow down. I sense qualities of the world around me that I would have never paid attention to otherwise. Somehow, the beauty of these mountains becomes more intense as I slow down and focus my mind on what is in front of me. I use this scenario that we just went through to explain a key characteristic of beauty. It requires a presence of mind, an ability to be in the here and now. For example, when we take a breath of mountain air, in that very instant we tend to be completely in sync with the nature of the air, its flow, its scent, its freshness. When we sit on a beach, on the other hand, and watch the sunset, we fully immerse ourselves in the show happening in front of us. We create harmony between the values that we hold and the qualities of the air or the sunset or in general the world that we are a part of. We value the impacts that these qualities have on us, the feelings, the emotions, the memories, the hopes, the fears, the joy, and even the tears that they create within us. This is the harmony that I'm talking about. It is this harmony that makes certain experiences so beautiful to us. And if you think about it, in that very instant when we find something beautiful, we loosen up on our identity of self. And instead of creating divisions between ourselves and the world around us, we become one with the air that we are breathing or the sunset that we are watching, fully absorbed by it. It is this presence of mind and the active engagement with our world that allows us to sense its natural qualities and create beauty. The deeper we go, the stronger this alignment of values and qualities resonates, and the more beautiful it gets. And just to be clear, presence of mind does not necessarily mean being present in the physical world. We could be present in our thoughts as well, or in our thoughtlessness. All it means is, whatever you do, engage in it to the fullest of your ability, shut off the noise, and make room for flow. To fully characterize beauty, we need to go beyond the idea of presence and understand the role that values play in the moment that we are present in. Because, as we discussed earlier, beauty is a reflection of these values onto the qualities of the world that we perceive in the moment. Have you ever seen a caterpillar go through its metamorphosis? It's pretty fascinating, but personally, I find it quite traumatizing. Once certain caterpillars, like the common brimstone, are ready to go through puberty, things kinda get weird. The caterpillar slowly breaks itself down and recycles protein from itself into, well, new organs like the wings that its adult, better version of itself now needs. Then, it just casually splits its head open, and a seemingly new organism squeezes itself out of this discarded jumpsuit that once used to be a caterpillar. Visually, the whole thing is just slimy and disgusting. But if you take a step back and think about it, this metamorphosis is also one of the most beautiful changes that life displays to us. A powerful symbol of hope and transformation. People can indeed be enamored by this metamorphosis by valuing nature's unique ability to create processes to sustain life, and to give new purpose for its existence. These values were not something that we are all born with. Rather, they are values that need to be developed through our experiences in life. So yes, on first glance, certain things like caterpillars can be disgusting, but that's only without the context of the specific values of the eyes that perceive them. After walking for about 4 hours through the Santa Teresa Valley, we arrived at a coffee plantation where we got to see how Peruvian coffee beans are harvested and roasted. But first, we had to take a shot of tequila out of a massive Incan penis. I really don't know who comes up with this stuff. So, it seems that our ability to generate beauty must depend on the relationships that we have with the world that we engage with. The relationships we form depend on the values that we hold towards specific things created by life's experiences. However, the fact is that these values and subsequently these relationships that we have with our world are not set in stone. We can practice the freedom to change our values or to find new perspectives towards things that we fear or limit in our lives. Remember, beauty is a subjective state of mind, and the mind is all that needs to change to find beauty in our lives. It's all just a matter of perspective. The next morning, we woke up early to make a 3-hour ascent to a place called Yactapata, which is an archaeological site with Incan ruins to be explored. From there, we planned on descending and hiking another 5 hours until we reached our goal, the city of Aguascalientes on the foothills of Machu Picchu. Following the stream of thought that beauty is derived from the values that we hold, a natural question comes up. That is the beauty that we can experience in life limited by the static values that we have today, those that were developed from our past? I don't think so. I think the values that we hold are dynamic in nature, constantly evolving, not only as a consequence of the uncontrollable circumstances of our experiences, but also through self-controlled directions that we take in life. A concept that I had referred to as conscious selection in a previous episode. The world has an infinite number and depth of qualities that it gives us access to, since all the world really is, at the end of the day, is our own representation of qualities as categories of objective or subjective things. Hence, our ability to find beauty in things is only limited by our own inability to create the relationships that resonate with the variety of qualities of the world. What seems ugly from one angle can align with our values when considered from another. It's simply a matter of which of the many qualities of the world we choose to identify and align with. That's the power of perspective. After a grueling hike through the humid forests of the Sacred Valley, almost fully uphill, we made it to Yactapata, an archaeological site discovered in 1912, about 5 kilometers east of Machu Picchu. Once I caught up with my group and had a chance to catch my breath, we made our way through a small path to a lookout point, where I found myself overwhelmed by the astounding beauty of what was in front of me. Straight ahead in the distance, on the other side of this valley, stood Machu Picchu. There is beauty to be found in the freedom that comes from adapting our perspectives on life, rather than resisting the qualities that are made available to us because of how we identify ourselves and the ideas of what values should make up who we are. We should be open to embrace the natural flow of life without clinging to any fixed perspectives. For example, there is beauty to be found in the suffering that we experience by focusing on the perspective that on the other side of the valley, across from suffering, there is joy to be found. The narrative of misery that comes from life's suffering can be turned on its back by focusing on the things that we can control and by letting the things that we cannot control flow past us. Similarly, there is beauty to be found in changing our perspectives to create forgiveness in our lives. Finding forgiveness creates room for us to release ourselves from fixed perspectives, to free ourselves from the traumas of our past, and to then focus on creating beauty in our lives, not despite the things that happen to us, but because of them. There is also beauty to be found in changing our perspectives about what success means in our lives. Our definitions of success are never static. They are simply a function of time and perspectives, shifting with every breath that we take. Then, how does it make sense to cling on to any one idea of success that we have? What's beautiful is not these arbitrary objectives that we make up during our journey. Rather, our ideas of success are simply what guide us towards the things that we value in life. It is our ability to move towards those values and find beauty that make us successful, not what we will find when we get there. Look, I think all these examples can be summed up to a specific point. The truth is that even though nothing in itself is beautiful, everything has the potential to create beauty within us, even the ugliest of things. And we can find this beauty by surrendering our traditional patterns of perspectives to create room for new ones that create resonance between our values and the qualities of the world, in the most extreme of experiences or even the most mundane. If you find something ugly, turn it around, open it up, look at it with one eye closed, cut it apart, or even reassemble it. Do whatever you need to do to align it with the values that you hold. This is how life becomes beautiful, and we are indeed in control of making that happen. As the sun started to set, we finally made it to the city of Aguascalientes after trekking the entire day. I was drenched in sweat, my knees hurt, and I wanted nothing more than to go back to the comfort of my own home. This morning, we woke up before sunrise to make our final journey to Machu Picchu. Finally, it took us 5 days to get here, but we were finally here. I think it really is everything that I thought it would be. majestic, and awe-inspiring. But more than just the views, I felt there was also something mystical about this place. To think that mankind was capable of creating a marvel of this complexity almost 500 years ago, it was simply beyond my comprehension. You know, when I started this trip through Peru 2 weeks ago, I was on a quest to find some sort of insight or wisdom from Mother Nature about what it means to live a beautiful life. Now that I was at the end of this journey, I found myself asking, did I really find what I was looking for? Yesterday, as we walked through the plains of Hydroelectrica, we met an old man selling water in a stall by the railway tracks. For some reason, he was drawn to my wife and I, and after conversing with us for a while, he pointed up into the mountains and said, "Every day, thousands of people try to make it all the way to the top of those mountains to find the beauty of Machu Picchu." Then pointing down at the grass beneath our feet, he said, "Remember that the beauty of Machu Picchu is already here, all around you. Don't lose sight of that." And that's when it occurred to me. The beauty of Machu Picchu doesn't simply arise from these Incan ruins that we find today. The beauty arises from the centuries of culture and values that gave rise to this marvel. The curiosity of the people about the nature of the universe that they found themselves in, their interest in understanding the cultivation of the earth, the alignment of the stars in the heavens above, and their purpose in creating something so magnificent like Machu Picchu to pay respect to their own fundamental values. That is what gives Machu Picchu its beauty. Without their stories and an understanding of what the Incas valued in their lives, all this, it's just a pile of rubble that the winds erode away over time. Understanding these values that made the Incas create beautiful things, that's what makes this 5-day journey here worth it for me.
Away.
Don't spit. Don't spit. Oh, it's going. Throughout this exploration, we looked at the various ingredients and characteristics of beauty that allow us to control how beautiful our lives can be. Freedom, and specifically freedom from the self, the alignment of our values with the qualities that make up the world that we live in, our ability to be present in the moment, and to seek new perspectives on life. By tuning ourselves to exploit these characteristics of beauty, we have the ability to turn it into a way of life. Beauty is not just some word we should throw at things to express the extent of our preference for them. It is so much more than that. It exists within us, and it flows through the relationships that we create with the world when our values align and resonate with its qualities. As a result, beauty captures everything that we value in life, the values that we know of, and even those we do not. It shines a light on everything we are and everything we strive to be. This package of all our values is what ultimately gives life its meaning. And that essentially means that to seek beauty is to seek meaning in our lives. But that's an exploration for another day.